This beautiful little slice of heaven behind me is up for foreclosure auction today. Stick around, you never know. We might just buy a house right here with you guys. All right, so my name's Kevin. I'm half of Two Guys Take On Real Estate, and I'm gonna show you a little bit about how an auction process works. This is a property that's up for foreclosure auction. Now, this auction happens live at the property itself. And if you wanna learn more about how this stuff works and how we literally wrote the book on foreclosure auctions, make sure you hit the subscribe button and stick around. All right, so enough of me. Let's look at this thing. I pulled up to the front of the property, which is just over here, and it appears to be basically a two-family house. The middle kind of connecting section, however this was built, is incredibly rough. Whew. Yeah. Really, I mean, super overgrown, but I think if you cleaned up all the landscaping, you'd probably see that this is a really cool looking brick house. It's a brick house. I don't know. Anyway, it's definitely in rough shape and has been really, neglected of any kind of upkeep. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a value. And some of these kind of things are where you can get some of the best deals ever, because somebody's going to see this thing and be scared away and not want anything to do with it. And maybe they're right, because these are also where you can run into some pretty huge problems. You might start a project, start working on something, think it's going to be just what it appears on the surface, and then as you get into it, realize there's a whole lot more wrong with it than you thought. So yeah. Estimating your rehab budget is going to be huge here. Being able to figure out as much as possible about the property is going to be the biggest thing. But with storm windows on everything, this probably was a really nice home, a while back before it all kind of started going to hell. But you got to assume that a lot of it's not been updated. So this stuff here is probably fairly original. Again, really nice side yard, just horribly overgrown. I feel like I'm on a safari or something. I should have some kind of a machete to go through here. So I mentioned it's a two-family. Well, it definitely appears that the front section being vacant, the back section is occupied. So let's go take a look around the rear of the property over here. And look at some of these cool old cars that have been collected at this property. So since it's an occupied unit in the rear of this property, which I was kind of surprised to see, you're going to get into issues with basically taking over property, being the owner of it now, and essentially being a landlord for somebody who may have a property that's in very, very challenging conditions. You're responsible for the place being up to code and being code compliant, and that could be a very, very precarious situation to put yourself into, because when you buy a property, especially when you're buying it as is, you're buying it with whatever problems it has, and that includes your responsibilities as an owner for a tenant in the home. So that can go in all sorts of expensive and time-consuming ways. So hopefully if we were to get involved here, or anybody that does, finds that the tenant is going to be interested in being cooperative, and the new owner is going to be interested in being responsible and treating people fairly. That's a huge, huge part of it, because a lot of people have different definitions of what fair is, and might just think, hey, just got to throw the guy right out. And things aren't going to happen like that. Even if they legally could, it almost never really works like that. So the idea is you want to work together to solve an issue. You're buying a property with a lot of problems. Somebody's living in a property that now you own or just are buying with a lot of problems. And you really have to work together and have a meeting of the minds in terms of how to come up with a solution that everybody can deal with. All right, so I'm back in the truck for a second, and the people are starting to show up. You can see bidders rolling up, and we've been walking around the house, doing our due diligence, trying to figure out really just how much rehab this place is going to need. And this is a really old property, so it gets kind of tricky with that. So I took a bunch of photos, sent them to my partners. We've been trying to figure this stuff out, coming up with a bidding strategy that we're going to then stick to. And I'm not going to get carried away. I'm not going to try to outbid anybody, right? And we'll see how it goes. But the bidding is getting started soon. We got to register to bid, so I'm going to go do that with the auctioneer. Got a lot of competition rolling up. I don't know. I think we maybe have an opportunity to get this house cheap, but I really think this house needs to be sold very cheap because of the kind of the big variables of how much it could cost to get into to do renovations here. And that's the biggest thing that makes me, keeps me from going up and up and up and up on a bidding strategy. So if you want to learn more about how to do this stuff, about some of the things you've been seeing in this video, take a second, find us on Amazon, buy a copy of our book, Foreclosures Unlocked. We literally wrote the book about going to foreclosure auctions from our experience of going to thousands of auctions, just like this one, and buying hundreds of homes this way. All right, the bidding is getting started. The auctioneer is doing his reading. You can see all the folks behind me. It's going to be a busy auction. My guess is it's going to start pretty cheap. I don't think the bank is going to be submitting a very high kind of like reserve bid number. We'll see how this goes.
126,000 I have going once. 126,000 I have going twice.
All right.
27 I look for 128.
This beautiful little slice of heaven is up for foreclosure auction today. Stick around, you never know. We might just buy a house right here with you guys.
75. 180. 185,000 I have going once. 185,000 I have going twice. 185,000 I have going third and last call. Is that it? Everybody done? So, congratulations, Scotty.
Well, there you have it, $185,000. Definitely higher than what we were going to go. This place is going to need a lot of work. This is a little further from kind of our home area as well. So that's something that also to take into account is how far you're going to have to drive to deal with this property, to rehab it, to renovate it, to flip it, whatever you're going to do with it. It's too bad. It's an awesome potential property. I think somebody's going to do a good job with it. I really hope this place gets brought back to life, but it's not going to be by us. So stay tuned. Hopefully you'll catch us on the next one, and we'll see you on a winning auction video on the next one. Until then, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.